Hello, and welcome to Global Wellness for All podcasts. My name is Laleh Hancock, and I'm going to be your host every week, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Lisbon time, as we do this journey and adventure of wellness in all parts of our lives. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global Wellness for All podcast. My name is Laleh Hancock, and I'm your host. And today we have a special guest, someone that has a very unique background that I cannot wait until we start talking about all the different things he's done. But one of the things that I am so grateful for is that he came into probably one of the most influential, prestigious automotive dealerships and looked at what was happening in their service department and across the business and realized they needed his special touch, a special touch in leadership and bringing the team together, but really taking away those walls of separation and segregation of departments to how can we come together to create something that just doesn't just benefit the customers, but also the employees. So today, my special guest is Anthony Johnson, and I'm so excited that we're going to have a conversation about him sharing some of his great magic with all of you. So, Anthony, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm definitely honored and privileged for being able to talk with you and spend time with you. And with all the great things you're doing, I'm just completely humbled by the fact that you actually reached out to me to even be on the show with you and just have any type of interaction with you on this level. It's amazing. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Oh, pleasure's all mine, Anthony. So, Anthony, can you tell our listeners and anyone who's watching us right now, like a little bit more about Anthony? I know that you can maybe share a little bit of where you are right now. I know you've been in the automotive industry for the last 15 years, and also you are a
Right.
chemist. So, we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but maybe talk a little bit more about the last 15 years and kind of what you've been focusing on.
So, with all of the stereotypes and things, as far as like people's perceptions of dealerships and client perspective and staff and employee perspective, it's always been something that's been kind of, I guess I want to say, a focal point for me to figure a way of kind of harmonizing everything to make it more of a relationship environment versus a transactional environment. So over the last 15 years working with different brands and different types of people and different groups of staff, um, it's taken me time to kind of, I feel, pretty much navigate my way to a point to where we can look at certain environments and get kind of like a unilateral cohesion. So it does take time. Like they say, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet. But I think for the most part, where we are with the store that I'm.
Okay, wonderful. I think we lost you just for a moment during that time. Did you say where you're actually working right now?
I'm at an Alfa Romeo Maserati store right now.
And that's where I had the great pleasure of meeting Anthony. My magical Maserati that is truly one of the many gifts in my life. And the funny part is that most people have, either a good experience with the car dealership in terms of the transaction of the sale of the car, and then they come back for that. But really, the the biggest piece is what happens after you purchase a car. The service. Um,
Exactly.
mhm. Um, so, the customer relationship, like, I really believe that the job that you have is one of the hardest jobs because you have to take people from the expectations that they have of what they just purchased to nurture them and to create something that works for the organization as well as for the clients. And like you said, make it be not a transactional thing, but that it actually is about relationships and getting to know your clients and know that with one client you may have to do things a little bit different. So
Absolutely.
yeah, tell me more about like you came in and you said you had to break a few eggs to make an omelet. But like, as people are listening, I think, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You're talking about management, you're talking about staff who's used to doing things a certain way. And so what advice do you have of like kind of like what worked for you guys like coming in? What's like step number 1
Right.
in knowing things need to change?
So coming into the store at the time period in which I did, the store itself was kind of, I want to say, grassroots or in its infancy, so to speak. No one really had a true vision or I think a long-term game plan, right? Because Alfa Romeo was new to the market. Maserati had just started gaining traction in the market, and there was only a couple models at the time. So the big thing was going in and looking at the day-to-day hurdles or obstacles that we had, as far as like information from the manufacturer to provide the technicians with the proper tools and steps to make repairs. And then also looking at the staff as a whole and getting them to share the vision and realize that it isn't short term, because a lot of about issues with the vehicles. So everybody kind of thought they would do what they did in the 90s and possibly leave the States, right? Maserati has always been a very unique brand. They don't move as many units as, let's say, like your Honda store or your BMW store or even your Porsche store, right? So at this point, I felt the staff was a little uneasy with looking at like long term goals and longevity of having a position that would last for years. So the big thing going in with speaking with the owner, vice president, and general manager time in that role was saying that this is the vision. And I believe that if we put all of our efforts moving forward with cultivating, training, and giving, feedback to staff, to clients, and from staff to see kind of pitfalls that they saw or felt, or things that happened that they felt they weren't treated correctly in, and just kind of have like a roundtable and just kind of discuss what's going on as a whole. It was a little hard to get everybody together on the same page, right? Owners have their own agenda as far as what they need to keep the dealership alive and afloat. Staff also have their own ideas, and then clients always have their own ideas as well. So it was just kind of sitting down and just trying to see how we could make it an organic, structured system, which, yeah,
Mhm.
there were some changes that had to be made amongst staff and other things, but on all, I believe this and being a little apprehensive as far as what's going on. So definitely very appreciative of the opportunity that we had going in, and definitely appreciative of kind of everybody kind of letting their guards down, right? Because with Maserati, you're dealing with a lot of other people, such as yourself, leaders, business owners, seen a lot of and in
Hey, Anthony.
very okay. So it was definitely a very unique opportunity. Um, Essentially getting owner, general manager, the staff, and also input from the clients, right? Because everybody kind of had their own idea of where things need to go. And again, with everybody not having a long term vision as far as where they saw the dealership growing as a whole, nor the amount of clients we'll have, the types of clients we'll have, the types of day to day things that we have to deal with. It was unique because we had to get everybody together, clients, staff, owner, as hard as it was, kind of have a little bit of roundtable and kind of just put some things out there as far as kind of the vision of where we could see the store heading and where we would like for it to go. Of course, again, everybody had different viewpoints, right? And then, dealing with the type of clients that we have with the Alfa Romeos and Maseratis, all of them, such as yourself, are their own independent um, owners, leaders. So they, as clients, have different viewpoints than what maybe some of the staff would see. So the big thing that was very, very hard to get everybody to buy into is relationships. Because when you deal with dealerships, there's always stereotypical ideas and euphemisms of, hey, they're not friendly. Hey, they're not, everything's going to be priced differently. So the biggest skill and the biggest asset that we had to have as a whole is just everybody understanding that as we change the culture in that dealership and make it more of a relationship based and not transactional based, everything will fall into play. And it took, I've been there 3 years. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but I think we're at this point as close as we're going to get to it, where everybody comes in as clients and even as staff, and everybody doesn't look at it as it's a job. I'm coming in. I cannot wait to get there and then leave. It's more like, hey, today's adventure is we're doing this, and clients come in. Most clients know us on first name basis, or if we're getting lunch and clients are around, we'll ask if they want food, and it's a really awesome give and take, right? And that's, I think, the biggest thing in the leadership capacity is looking at certain things and looking at how do we break down certain walls, whether it be our staff or clients or even in ourselves, and figure out how we can spark the creativity and the wanting to help and having everybody on the same page as far as visions go. So that's definitely always a hard one with everybody you deal with, but
Yeah.
pays off in the end.
Yeah. But see, it's interesting because, I met you right before. I mean, I bought my car and the next day, even not even taking it home, I ordered my car. And the next day I was on a flight to Japan. And then I came and I picked up my car before I went to Houston. Like I only had a few hour layover. So like for me, it was different. Like what I required was actually someone who had more flexibility when my car needed to come in because I wasn't around that much. So it was a very different thing. And I realized the first year that you weren't there, like how it was. Everyone was very professional. They treated me well. It wasn't that, but the energy of coming in to the service center was very different. The next few years with you there, with the changes that you were creating, you could feel the difference. You know what I mean? Like even the interaction on the phone, even how long it took for someone to answer my call changed, and
Yeah.
like said, there was this personalized thing, and everyone has to create what's going to work for their business and their customer base too. You're talking Maserati, Alfa Romeo, they do have more unique and probably more demanding client base, I think. But like
Yes,
you said, maybe you have not 10,000 clients like a Honda dealer would, but it's also a very different type of client base. And
right.
what I loved is, you and I actually started talking about, my work. And so you engaged with me to learn more about me and what I do, to see
Mhm.
also what else was required. But it wasn't like you were doing it because you had an agenda. It was the sincere
Right.
care of wanting to know more about your client. And then we start talking about cars, and truly like your love and passion for fast cars and my love and passion for fast cars. So there was this other area that we could converse, even though my car brought me there, but it was almost like a different type of that personalized relationship to allow a different side of each of us to come through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that made me want to talk about the dealership with others. It made me want to tell people about Anthony and the services there. And I got to tell you, I've already talked about this. Like the original person that I bought the cars from, he was a hoot. His name was Charles or Chuck, depending on
Yeah.
which you called him. He was not a sales guy, which I loved. He didn't push. He didn't
Mhm.
harass. He didn't do the things that are stereotypical of sales. He was this kind of laid back guy that pretty much let you choose. He gave you the information you required. And it actually made it to where I didn't buy one car from him. Immediately, we bought two cars because there
Yeah.
was no pressure. It was just like me pressuring my husband at the time and say, "Hey, why aren't you going to get a Maserati? Let's do a Levante." But it was this very relaxed where I would say I'd want to buy a car from Chuck or Charles again. But then my last experience coming in, like I actually was like, hmm, but I would want the Anthony and the service crew. So like it really is this, how much I think a lot of times people don't realize how important they are in whatever role they're playing to that customer engagement and experience. And you're not a sales on the sales team, but yet you leading the service leads to clients wanting to purchase more, or even if they don't, they still have this great experience with you and your department. And so I know some of this is Anthony being Anthony, which actually is the best tool in the box. You're being
Thank you.
personality, okay? But like if there were some things that you could share for people to look at that, because I think, with COVID, we have to look at our lives so differently. I think before it was
Right.
easy to be on autopilot. People can't be on autopilot anymore. So, like, do you have any suggestions of that engagement with the employees and engagement with clients that you found to create greater?
Yeah, actually it may sound a little kind of unique and weird. So in college, one thing that really stuck with me was a professor of mine had us teach for through marketing, one of my marketing classes, right? The four factors of impulse. And I understand now there's potentially five, but at the time, it's kind of dating myself now. At the time when I was in school, I was four factors of impulse. They were called GIFs: justification, indifference, fear of loss, and sense of urgency. And we were taught that those are four different options that make people do everything and anything in their lives. And the best thing to do is to sit for a few moments, um, start a conversation, see what factor a person has, and then expound on that factor.
Mhm.
And so you're correct. Earlier when you brought up to your point about different clients having different expectations and kind of relating to them differently. Um, that helps you actually get to know kind of beyond the shell of the people you're around and people that you're dealing with and people you're trying to grow and people are trying to show kind of what your vision of things are and where you feel that they're going to be a very solid foundation or solid point in the picture, right? I've definitely learned that that has completely opened my mind, to not be so, I guess, objective about things and to hear everybody's sides and points. And actually, it also makes you within yourself on different levels kind of be a little more open as to what other people are explaining, showing, or their viewpoints are as well, and find that nice happy median. That's definitely been very big. Um, Also, a lot of um, cheering for your staff, cheering for anybody. It's always whether it's something where it's something personal or professional. A lot of people, as of late, as you brought up with COVID, a lot of people have been kind of in bubbles. Um, so at this point, with the interactions, everybody wants a positive interaction. Everybody wants to talk to people. Everybody wants to be engaged. Finding things that you can talk about and have them feel happy about something that's going on is huge. It's huge. So many walls come down, and you can learn more about people and learn. When you're talking with them, you can learn from them to help better yourself, even.
Yeah. I think you really hit it on that nail on the head right there. It's like most of us don't realize we're walking around with walls up, defense mode, like not wanting to be surprised by people, situations, and, someone cheating you or whatever else. And
Right.
that's one of the things that actually is not helping our society is the walls up. What actually is that flow between us? And it can't be a flow if my walls are up and your walls are up. It's just like a tennis ball going back and forth between the courts. You hit your ball against my wall and it's going to hit you harder, so you have to hit harder to hit me harder. So I have to, it's this back and
Right.
forth. And actually, I facilitate classes called Right Voice for You. And one of the exercises we actually do a lot is that barrier down. Because when we think if we expose ourselves with no walls is how we actually get, you know, cheated or whatever. But that's actually when you allow you to receive information, awareness, that engagement cannot occur if your wall is up. So, like you said, when your staff actually was willing to lower their walls, and like you said, when you came in, there was some change that was required, not just a philosophy and culture change, but people staff change, you
Yeah.
know, and you might have changed some clients too, who knows, but like it, sometimes those are a little harder in the industry, but
They are just a little bit.
but that key, the employees who weren't willing to put their walls down, experiment, play, ask questions, and be curious are the ones who couldn't handle being there, couldn't be part of the vision of the future that you and the rest of the leadership team were creating. But the ones who could, are the ones that were willing to put their walls down. They were willing to become vulnerable to say, you know what? Maybe there is something else possible here we've never considered before. And I'm going to try it. I'm going to play with it. I'm going to explore and see where it goes. If it doesn't go anywhere, maybe I leave. I don't stay. But that's the key factor. Leadership willing to put their walls down, staff
Yeah.
willing to put their walls down, and as clients, we have to be willing to put our walls down too, you know?
Absolutely. It's definitely interesting learning from everyone as they put the walls down. Things you learn about people that you would never anticipate or expect. Also, the guidance others can show with doing that. The biggest step as a leader or in leadership role is you have to put your wall down first. You have to show you have to give the trust in order to gain it. And for a lot of people in a role where, you're kind of directing or, drilling into things, inseminating and trying to figure out plans, sometimes in your own world, you get caught up and it's hard. Um, and that's why hopefully if you put your walls down enough to where team members, your staff, other leaders in your environment, your clients can kind of give you the little nudge, say, hey, you're kind of building that wall again, and we're working on. And you're like, oh wow, oh my goodness, I didn't know I did it. Let's keep moving forward. Let's get it back down where it was. Being open, that I think the year of COVID has definitely, I hope, made a lot of people sit down and be thankful for being able to, just see things, learn things now at this point, go ahead and immerse themselves kind of out in the open, look at the world as a whole, and at this point, figure out what it is that they can do little by little, whether it's, changing a philosophy in a boardroom or even in your own neighborhood. And that's where leadership really comes in, because it's not just about what you do 9 to 5. It's about actually how you live your life all the time. And that's definitely, I think, a hard thing to do as a leader. Is you're always having to be a good example, right? And at the same point, be willing to accept suggestion, constructive criticism, and not just want to hammer your own directives down. So I think this past year I've seen a lot with clients out just in the neighborhood, and with staff. Everybody's a little bit more friendly, a little more lenient. And I think at this point, I think as people, we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah. It's unfortunate it took a global pandemic to create this, but I have to
Right.
say that it is nice to see that more people are realizing that they got to look at things differently, And I think leadership, one of the things for me, I'm a leadership consultant. All day, all night, I'm talking about leadership. And one of the things I find is there is no perfect answer. There is no perfect solution. And that's the beauty of leadership. And not just constructive criticism, but your willingness to also know it's not just your information and awareness. You don't have to get it right. You don't have to be the perfect boss, which is something that's really hard, especially in corporate America, like it's almost like that's the expectation that we're supposed to get it right. Where through some of the things, it's trial and error. You try to see if it's going to work. If it doesn't work, you try something different. It doesn't mean you were wrong. It doesn't mean that you didn't have the right answer. It just means that until you try something, you don't know if it's going to work for your environment or not. And that's the piece that I always got with you as well, is that open personality, that it wasn't that it's just your leadership and people above you that you were listening to. You actually were willing to listen to everybody and be willing to allow all of that information to come in to assist in whatever you were creating. And I think that's what we need more of in the world.
Definitely. Thank you for noticing all that. Guess I'm good at it because I didn't realize I was doing all that all the time. But yeah, definitely compassion, openness, willing to try things that are a little bit off the beaten path, or I feel things that distinguish not only yourself as a leader, but also it helps distinguish who you are.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's every time you've done something, it's making sure that when you go home, you go to sleep, you know that you gave it your all, you did what you felt was the right thing, and you gave the right people chances. And that's all you can really do as a leader.
Yeah. Do your best and know tomorrow is a clean new slate and you could try something different. If it didn't work, it was only good for 10 seconds. Anthony, thank you so much for being here in this conversation. And I'm super grateful
You're
that
welcome.
I'm in Chicago and that we could make this work before my trip to Italy. And I'm
Absolutely.
so grateful for everyone who is watching or listening on Global Wellness for All podcast, or you are everywhere. We're everywhere, Spotify, iTunes, everywhere, as well as YouTube. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for the gift and contribution that you're creating, not just at work. We know you do a lot in the community. So thank you for that as well. And
Welcome.
and everything you're doing at this amazing Maserati slash Alfa Romeo dealership. And I wonder where else you're contributing to that we haven't acknowledged yet, but I know you are. So thank you, Anthony, for being here. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we look forward to chatting with you guys next week, where I will be actually at a beautiful castle in Italy that I haven't visited in the last year and a half, that I look forward to visiting and bringing you some of that beauty in the show. So thank you again, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for being here with us, whether you were listening or watching. We are so grateful for you, and we need your help. We would love to spread the seeds of wellness all around the world. Will you assist us? You can subscribe below. You can subscribe in Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. We are everywhere. And we ask, would you be willing to actually spread this to others that you may know who can actually be contributed with the tools and resources to bring more wellness into their life and into their bodies?